So today we're going to talk about measures of center. We're going to look at page 12 in our interactive binders to get started. So a measure of center provides a single summary of the data set. So we ask a statistical question. A statistical question says, they ask a question and you get lots of answers. We take all those answers in our data set and we put them into a graph. We want to summarize, okay, there's that word summary, so go ahead and underline that. We want to summarize the data. So we want to take all the numbers and we want to be able to explain those. So we have a summary. We use the measure of center to provide a summary of our numbers. So we put it in a graph. This includes the mean, the median, and the mode. So our measures of center we're going to be learning about include the mean, median, and mode. Okay? Choosing a measure of center, the mean, the median, or the mode to represent data can make a difference in how the data is interpreted. So sometimes the mean, the median, or the mode can be chosen specifically to kind of misconstrue data and make things seem different than what it is. And we're going to talk about that as we go along. Okay, so giving that number helps us to interpret our data. Now, we're going to learn that there's there's the mean, the median, and the mode. And we can use any of them to summarize our data. But if we want to have the best summary possible, there's some rules we need to follow. We go up here and look at my bell curve here, right up here at the top. It says the symmetrical bell-shaped curve. Let's see if we can move here and here a little bit, guys. Sorry. Okay, so the symmetrical bell-shaped curve, there we go. If I were to cross off lowest and highest and lowest and highest and keep going back and forth, I would find that the middle number, the median, is right here. The one that's most popular is my highest, which is the mode. And we're going to learn how to balance our mean and average it. The mean is actually here as well. Okay? So if it's symmetrical, meaning that I cut it in half, you see how the left side and the right side are exactly the same? We call that symmetrical. The mean, the median, and the mode will be right in the middle. But once our graph is no longer symmetrical, which is almost always the case, it's very rarely symmetrical, then our mean, our median, and our mode move all around. And we're going to be talking about that over the next week or two. Okay, so let's go back to our rules. Let me get set here. Sorry, guys. So let's get back to our rules for measures of center. If I want to most accurately describe and summarize my data, I can use the mean, the median, or the mode. Now, typically, we use the mean. So we're going to write this down. So we most often use the mean. We use the mean or the average. That's when we add them all up and divide by the number of data points. Okay, it's most often used. So go ahead and write that in your interactive page. It's most often used. And it's usually the best summary. We use this to calculate your grades. It takes all the numbers into account, okay? And the reason why, guys, these are called the measures of center is because the mean, the median, and the mode, they all require you to look at all of the numbers. When I find the minimum, I just look at the one number. When I find the maximum, I look at one number. When I find the range, I look at the lowest number and the highest number, and I find the distance between them. But when I find the mean, I have to add up all the numbers. When I find the median, I have to cross out all the numbers. And when I find the mode, I have to look at all of the numbers. Okay? So the mean is usually the best option. However, sometimes the median is a better option. We use this when there is an outlier. Now you're probably sitting there going, well, Mrs. Myers, what in the world is an outlier? Well, let's talk about an outlier. If you look up above, right here, here's the word outlier. So if I open this up An outlier is a data point that is far away from all the other points in the set. The mean is usually more dramatically affected than the median when there's an outlier. So if I have a bunch of small numbers and one large number, or if I have a bunch of large numbers and one small number, that outlier kind of messes up our mean. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. We're going to put this tab down. We're going to draw a number line. And let's just number it 0 through 10. I'm going to put a 5 in the middle here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's my 5. Here's my 6. Here's my 7. Here's my 8. There's my 9 and my 10. Now, if we look, and I have a 0, and a 0, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 3, and another 3. Okay? If I were to find the average of those numbers, I would take 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9, plus 2 more is 10, 11, plus 1 more is 12. And I would get a total of 12. And I would divide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 12 divided by 7 gives me a mean of a little less than 2. So my mean would be about right here. Now look what happens if I put a 10 in here. So do you see how the 10 here is not like the rest of them? All these little numbers and then I have a 10. So now, instead of having 13, I have 23. Okay? So my mean, when I add them all up, is 23. And then I have to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. When I do that, 23 divided by 8 gives me an answer of 2 and 7/8. So instead of my mean being here, it now bumps it to about right in here. Okay, so it pulls my mean towards my outlier. So what happens is it skews it, and we're going to talk about the word skew, but if there's an outlier, that number significantly pulls the mean toward it. So it kind of messes up the mean and it makes it not valid. So when there is an outlier back down here, typically, instead of using the mean, we'll go with the median. Okay, so an outlier is a number that's not close to all the other numbers. Okay, now you'll notice it says here, if there are many data points, then the outlier has less of an effect on the mean. So if I only have a couple points, the outlier has an effect. If I have like 20 points, then the outlier isn't really as much of a big deal. Okay, so we use the median when there's an outlier. An outlier is a number that's way out there, far from all the others. Now, the third measure of center, besides the mean and the median, is the mode. The mode is the number that is most popular, or there most frequently. We use this when I'm looking for the most popular choice. So if we were voting on something, or if we were looking for the number that is there more than all the others. So if we're specifically looking for something that is the most of something, then we don't want the mean, we don't want the median, we want to go straight to the mode. So most often we use the mean and it's the best summary. However, when there's an outlier, we go with the median. And if we're looking for the most popular of an item, we go with the mode.